Trying to get access to the news.
Huh?
This faction war is driving me nuts. First the abnegation, then the erudite. Now the dauntless are waging war. What's going on?
And this train is taking forever to reach the edge of the city. I'm hungry and bored.
You know what? I just can't understand. How can you be bored at a time like this? Here we are in a train to nowhere, factionless, hungry, and desperate, but yet having to do another episode of Tomboy T-Rod. Yes, not Tirade or Tirade, but T-Rod, Asia's biggest and only all-female comedy chat podcast. And all you can do is complain about being bored? I don't get it.
I think it's because I missed the research labs of Erudite, the faction where I was before this simulation war.
Yeah. You know what? I miss my mates at Candor too. Nothing like sitting around with them over a few beers and playing Truth or Bear.
Huh? Truth or dare? You mean you guys take off your clothes or something? There's some kind of striptease going
No,
on?
silly. It's just a game where you either tell a piece of truth that doesn't kill you, or you just bare your soul to a hidden truth you could kill to keep hidden. You know what? We're Candor, right? So we like to kind of live on the edges of truth and honesty.
Uh-oh, I think we're almost there.
Finally, good thing.
Okay, get ready to jump off, Persis.
Okay, I'm ready. At the count of 3. Wait for it. Wait for it.
Okay, I'm ready.
Ready? 1, 2, and 3!
What? What?
Who are you?
We're from the Disoriented faction, an Asian American faction of comedic proportions. I'm Atsuko Katsuka and she's Jenny Yang, and we're part of this cool group.
And we are from the Asian Chindian faction. Our secret code name is the Tomboy Tarts, Asia's fatally silly comedy dude. So what gives? Why are there 2 Asian comedy factions in the city?
Yeah.
But you forget different diasporas. And by the way, are you divergent?
Sorry, Jenny. I don't think so. You know what? We already have enough problems explaining our complex Asian roots and, our migration habits. You know what? We like to keep it simple, guys. Simple.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, we seem to have problems explaining our features as it is.
Yeah, and it's amazing how most white people can't tell us Asians
I
apart.
know. Tell me about it.
Well, I don't blame them. I have trouble telling myself apart from all the other Chinese around me.
You know why, Raven? That's because you look generic.
I do not look generic, Persis.
You know what? Of course you are. I mean, hey, have you seen yourself in the mirror lately? You're as generic as a box of cornflakes. Here, let me top you off with some milk here. Come on.
Shut up, Persis, and no thanks for the milk. I'm Chinese. I'm lactose intolerant, remember? Anyway, I have no time for you, okay? I'm here on a mission to escape this war, and we need as many allies we can get, including this, I don't know, what are you guys again? Disoriented?
Disoriented, yes.
Yeah.
Get it right.
My name is Jenny Yang. I am a comic and I'm one of the founding co-producers of Disoriented Comedy. And Disoriented Comedy is basically the first all-female, mostly Asian American stand-up comedy tour. What I've really loved about doing Disoriented Comedy is it's created a platform for Asian American female comics to tour the States.
Amazing. They were like, come do a show for Asians in the Central Valley. And I was like, what? the what and the what, and they were like, there are Asians in Central, like,
How did you guys like start off in this whole world of comedy and stand up and all this stuff, all this good stuff that you're doing?
Well, you know, the world is going to shit. And so we're going to save the world. We're going to save the world with our comedy. Didn't you know that?
Oh. Yeah, you know what? Yeah, that's basically part of our mission as well. Yeah, so we've got to keep the balance, right? So I mean, like, when did you guys get started? Like, I was very interested when I got to your website, and I was, wow, this is so awesome. I didn't know there was like an Asian American comedy troupe.
Yeah, July of 2012 is when we formed our empire.
No, we're just making fun of ourselves, sorry.
And we started stand up around the same time. You know, we were performers
Yeah.
in different areas, and we got
Yeah.
to know each other like 2009, and then it wasn't until 2012 though that we started to really tour.
So did you meet each other at Disoriented, or were you like school chummies growing up together?
No,
More like
no, we took a stand-up comedy class, a beginner stand-up comedy class for women here in Los Angeles, and she was
That's
the
so
one
Asian,
other
isn't
Asian
it?
Yeah, I know,
Like, take a class,
Take a class.
but she's the one.
pass an exam, and have a certificate. Look, I have a diploma.
No, but we were the
Sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, we're just making fun of ourselves, sorry.
we were the only two Asians in this comedy class of white people, and so and luckily we got along.
because that
Yeah,
would be
and
a
then-
shame
yeah.
if we didn't.
Yeah, you know what I mean? If the one other Asian in the white comedy class,
Doesn't
That's right.
if they're not funny and they suck, ugh.
Oh, you got to save each other, right?
Thankfully, we decided that each other was worthy of joining together into our single troupe
Right.
to fight the evil forces of racism and shitty comedy.
So how do you guys come up with the how do you guys come up with the ideas like for your jokes? You know, do you take these ideas from like the experiences you had growing up being Asian in America, or you know, just general observations of actual new Asian immigrants coming into the country?
Yeah, I mean it varies.
Yeah.
I think a lot of times it's for me, this is Atsuko speaking. A lot of times it's things that I'm trying to figure out about my surroundings. So sometimes it'll be really like mundane observational things about I don't know, something I ate in the morning. But then a lot of times I'm affected by things because I'm Asian American.
Yeah.
And so figuring that out, being an Asian American, I wasn't born here, so there was a what is it, like a transitioning from being just an Asian to an Asian American. So yeah, just a lot of thinking about that.
So that's very interesting because like like Jenny, I assume you were born there, and while Atsuko is Japanese. I mean, Jenny, are you Korean or are you Chinese or Taiwanese, Hong Kong?
Actually, I was born in Taiwan, and I moved to America when I was 5 years old. And Atsuko's actually half Taiwanese and half Japanese.
Yeah, so it must have been like very interesting to note that like when you do have to adapt to American cultures, there's a lot of things that you have to adjust to, right? Like, because at one point you'll be be absorbing Western culture, and then at the same time you have your parents, and they're trying to like shove down all these traditional, hold on to their traditions and things like that. Did you guys ever struggle with that?
Yeah, I mean,
Or do you still continue to struggle with that?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I feel like growing up as a kid and an adolescent is already kind of weird and tough. And then so that I think as a baseline that's already hard. But then to like actually add in there the fact that like we have to navigate home culture versus like external culture, I think that's always a persistent issue.
Yeah.
I'm not that close to like my childhood anymore, so I don't think about it that way as much now. I'm more trying to figure out the world now that I'm an adult.
Yeah, we have problems with multi-split personalities as well. Yeah, and I know I've got two voices going on in my head. Where can we find you guys on social media?
Well, you can find everything you need about me, Jenny, on jennyyang.tv. That's JENNYYANG.tv.
And you can find me on various platforms, but Facebook is where I post the most.
Okay, and And you guys are on tour right now, right? You've got a couple of shows coming up in the next few months.
Right.
Yeah, we're actually planning a big Texas tour in May.
Yeah.
We're going to be going to Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Houston, and then later on in the summer, we're actually going to be planning the first ever, probably I think, Asian American Comedy Festival. But here's the trick: nowhere in our publicity will we say the words Asian American. And so it's going to be called the Comedy Festival, a comedy festival.
Yeah.
And so that's what's going to happen.
Yeah. Why is that?
And then what we're going to do is we're going to have everyone's going to be Asian American in the comedy showcases, but we're going to have one diversity showcase, and it's only going to be straight white guys.
Wow, that's very interesting.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very
so-
diverse.
Exactly.
So are you bringing a show overseas as well?
Yeah.
You guys, you don't understand. This meeting, you guys, is the beginnings of our overseas Asia empire.
Yeah.
Ah,
Where
so-
are you girls located?
Okay.
That's good. Well, we'll roll out the red carpet for you guys. Come
Yes.
on down. Come on.
Love to, but where are you
Yeah,
guys?
we're lacking female
That's right,
faces
man.
here.
Come back
actually,
to your roots.
especially in Asia.
That's right. That's
Where are
right.
your home bases?
I'm based out of Malaysia, but I work in Singapore. And then I met Raven while we were working at a TV station. And she's based out of Singapore. And we've actually talked to quite a lot of female comedians in the region, and we're very interested to promote female Asian comedy right here in Asia. And we kind of want to bring that back to the West to kind of tell everyone that, hey, you know what? Not all Asian women are petite and small and laugh with their hands on their mouth, The comedy scene here has kind of exploded in the last, I would say, like 2 years.
Oh, that's amazing.
That's great.
Yeah, and I think also more and more Asian women are starting to come out of their shells.
The closet, yeah.
Yeah. Because it's still very male dominated. I mean, if you look at all the lineups, it's like all guys, and when you have women, it's like they are like a woman lineup. You don't see like, it's very rare for Asian women to be part of a normal lineup. It's like, oh, okay, we have an Asian woman showcase, an Asian woman lineup. But the numbers are still growing because we speak to a lot of new women who are really taking the step, finding their voice.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sort of renaissance going on with the Asian women, the younger generation.
Yeah, and I hope it keeps going though, because I mean, it would be really sad to see it explode and then kind of plateau off and then not go anywhere.
Yeah. No, that's great.
Well, maybe we can join forces and take over the world.
Yeah. We'll
Yeah, let's do that. Let's take over the world.
Let's do that. Yeah.
World domination.
But what should we call ourselves though? Like, disoriented
No,
Shindians,
disoriented
so-
tarts. Yeah, there we go.
Disoriented tarts.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Disorient tarts.
Yeah.
Dis-
I think you should go to Erudite and kill Janine yourself. I'll stay with Caleb so that you don't get him killed too.
What?
Come on, like you did your parents.
Okay, guys, let's stay vigilant. This train could be full of warring factions under erudite simulation.
Let's hide here. Great. Let's just feed the stereotype, Atsuko. That is such a typical Asian reaction to danger. We never confront. We always stay in the shadows.
Hey, I guess it makes us a pretty gothic race, don't you think?
Yeah, I think so, I guess. Well, although I have to say that like Indians are a little bit more confrontational. I mean, ask an Indian to shut up and all he'll do is just do the opposite. Right? That's why India finds it really hard to lay down the laws. I mean, no one ever follows the rules. And speaking of ridiculous Asians, I think it's time to just segue into our conversation to talk about Asian Americans in comedy because I think, as you guys already know, there's a lot of prominent Asian Americans doing their own comedy shows or are part of really big comedy shows in the United States right now. Like we've got Fresh Off the Boat.
Yeah.
We've got Mindy Kaling in the Mindy Project, and then you've got like these IT guys who are in. I love that comedy, HBO comedy called Silicon Valley. And it just looks like, Asian Americans just seem to be getting all the buzz right now, and rightly so, because they deserve it. We're really funny. Why do you guys think that there's so much buzz around Asian American comedy right now? Is it because there's a shift in the population, or it's just that there's more diversity in traditional media?
Well, I wouldn't call it a big bang. Like, I wouldn't call it, it's still just like 4 shows you just named, you know? So, I wouldn't say it's a huge shift. It's a huge deal that, Fresh Off the Boat came out. Huge deal. I'm not sure why 2015 was the year to do that.
Yeah, I think there's reasons for it, in my sort of like analysis and just from hearing other people what they've talked about who are in the industry. It's a little bit of a maturation of our community, and just the shifting times. There's actually a lot more executives who are Asian American.
I wanted to say that, they're in there, right, pulling some strings.
Finally.
A little bit, and actually, if you were to talk to producers of Fresh Off the Boat, from the top to the bottom, it's an entire story of different executives, a lot of them who are Asian, whether it's casting or, in the development side, who were convinced from the beginning around this show idea.
That's my dad. He loved everything about America. Full on bought into the American dream.
I don't know why we have to move.
So your father can own a cowboy restaurant.
Oh, what is this? It's Chinese food. Get it out of here. Ying Ming's eating worms. I need white people lunch.
If we get separated, try and join a white family.
Based on the memoir of celebrity chef Eddie Wong.
You're the one at the bottom now.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you are. It's my turn.
The story of one family's search for the American dream.
Us coming to this new place is going to make us all stronger.
If you try to suspend our son, we will sue everyone in this school.
Excuse me? It's the American way, right?
You know about that.
Fresh Off the Boat.
Oh, I have a coupon for you. It's a restaurant called Cattleman's Ranch.
Special.
You get a free onion blossom with the purchase of any entree, but you have to buy a drink.
And so that was interesting to learn about. And also, we definitely, through YouTube, there's been a lot of inspiration, I think, for young Asian Americans to have a voice and to perform, which is kind of strange, but it democratized, YouTube democratized performing and creativity in a weird way, especially democratizing for Asians.
With yourself, Jenny, doing stuff for BuzzFeed and things like that, have you guys actually considered doing your own comedy series, at least online, to begin with, for now, to see how the reaction is?
To bring your show online as well? Fans, for overseas fans who may not be able to go and see your shows?
Well, Disoriented Comedy so far has primarily been a live stand-up comedy kind of experience where we don't record it because it's all about that live performance. We've started to do storytelling shows, but as far as a video presence, we haven't discussed that under the Disoriented Comedy name. But individually, we've been working on videos, and Atsuko has actually been producing a lot more videos under her YouTube channel.
Do you guys see yourselves actually, combining forces with like D-Lo, for example, and then coming up with something really quirky, I'm sure there's all these creative juices running around, right?
What's cool is like, between D-Lo, Atsuko, and I, we all have our own kind of groove and path and, what we're trying out and experimenting with. But we're also connected to a very robust community of actors and writers and creatives. And so, you know, just in the short amount of time that we've been doing videos, we've definitely already started to collaborate, and it's pretty open. So I don't know, there's no like master plan to be like, yeah,
we'll put it online. No, I mean, we always run into situations, or when we talk about jokes, you know, for example, me and Jenny were talking about, you know, taking like martial arts classes from white people, like white teachers, you know, like Sensei Bob, you know,
and how awkward that is.
How awkward that is, because me and Jenny, like, yeah, I mean, because Jenny and I, we don't know martial arts, but for us to take a class, you know, most people out here, you know, masters are going to be, you know, maybe a white guy or maybe a Mexican guy that has mastered it better than us, you know. And so we were like, oh, that could be a funny skit. But, you know, it's things that that we've only really orally have imagined. Like, oh, that would be funny if me and you were in a class, in a martial arts class, and we pan and the teacher is Sensei Tom or something.
And that's very interesting to see, because somebody actually made a comment on one of the articles that I read about Fresh Off the Boat being this huge thing, and everyone's embracing this kind of comedy on you know, mainstream media, and there was a very interesting comment from someone who said that she was really afraid that shows like this would be, you know, a white man's quote unquote in to the Asian culture and Asian values, because
but I think it's very unfair to put so much responsibility on the show though. It's like, you know,
it is, isn't it? Yeah,
it's like it can't represent everyone. Nobody looks at Modern Family and thinks that represent every entire white family in America. Like, so why should people look at Fresh Off the Boat and think that it represents everyone? It's just a story about one family. Basically, it's an autobiography. I mean, as an outsider, I watch it. I thought it was funny, and some of the Singaporeans and Malaysians I know who had managed to see a couple episodes, they thought it was really a riot. But when I was reading the comments online, I know
they got it right.
Yeah, they got it right. We thought it was really funny. I mean, there was things that we can relate to. Some things are like, you know, the American experience. You know, we kind of like. And then the other things that we can relate to because we see it in our friends, our family. So a lot of us enjoyed it. But when I was like reading out all the comments online, people were having a lot of the Asian Americans. They have very divisive about this comedy. That, you know, what do you guys think actually?
As level-headed people, of course, this is just one family. But the reality with the psychology of being an Asian American is that. Is that we get a lot of anxiety because there's just not enough out there that represents us. And so if something comes up like the first, you know, Asian American family sitcom on network television in over 20 years, then we're going to get a lot of anxiety. And in fact, a good friend of mine, Phil Yu, who's a blogger in the States who writes about Asian American issues, he and I hosted a community viewing party during the night of the premiere. And one of the things that we kind of floated into the conversation was, you know what, we really need to have a term that describes the anxiety that we feel when it comes to seeing ourselves represented. And there's so many conflicting feelings in that. There's no one term. And so the one that we brainstormed and agreed upon is to representational anxiety is rep sweats. You know, like meat sweats. Like if you eat too much meat, you get the sweats. But instead, if you're Asian American, or if you're often invisible in America in pop culture, then you get the sweats because you're hopeful and yet afraid and yet, you know, scared, whatever, you know, it all it's this mix of emotions because there's just not enough of representation out there of us. So even if rationally we know that it's just one family, it still scares us because that one family could mean everything to everyone else who's watching it.
Yeah, and I agree with you there, because it's, as you said, it's the first time you're actually seeing an Asian American comedy in 20 years, because the last good one was Margaret Cho's All American Girl.
But it wasn't even that good.
All American Girl premiered in 1994 as a vehicle for comedian Margaret Cho. From the beginning, Cho faced enormous pressure to deliver a mainstream hit.
I didn't have these attributes that they think of when they think of like a female star of a show. I wasn't thin, I wasn't white. I think that because I wasn't white, they had to somehow make me conform in other ways that would make me more palatable to an audience. The major problem was that I was too overweight to play the role of myself, which is insane if you think about it. But I didn't know that was crazy then. I just wanted to keep my job.
Cho was encouraged to go on a crash diet, losing 30 pounds in 2 weeks. Her kidneys shut down, leading to long-term health problems.
When you're the first person to kind of cross over this racial barrier, then you're scrutinized for all these other things that have nothing to do with race, but they have everything to do with race. It's a very strange thing.
And so there's so much pressure, there's just so much pressure to perform, so to speak, to be the voice of a diverse community in itself, because a lot of people seem to think that Asians are just, you know, people from China, Japan, Korea, Taiwan, and maybe Southeast Asia, you know, and everyone looks the same. But, you know, there's just so many, Asia is just so diverse. There's so many other Asians, there's South Asians, there's Nepal, people from Nepal, Tibet, you know, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka and the Middle East, you know. And even then, within those little communities, there's so much diversity, right? Yeah, and that's what I felt like. I loved it, I applauded it, but I was also, like, as you mentioned, a bit anxious, a bit worried that they would read too much into the stories, the values that were being, you know, brought up, because it's so easy, it's so easy to fall back on something like that because it's just the only one. And there's not, as you said, there's not enough voices, right? And so that's kind of how I feel. Like I think how Good Times was like the first, Good Times, The Jeffersons was like the first family sitcom representing black people, or like The Jeffersons, who, you know, representing rich black people, or Good Times representing, you know, a black family living in the ghettos. So that kind of pressure is always going to be there.
Critical mass. I think critical mass is a good term for that. If there was more critical mass, it'd be able to show more facets of and portrayals, right, of what Asian American is. And I just wanted to go back to what you were saying about Margaret Cho's show. It's just my 2 cents. It wasn't that great.
Hi. I'm the Ayatollah Khomeini. I'll be your waiter this evening. We have a couple of Blackboard specials I'd like to tell you about. There's a terrific sea bass in lemon butter, and there's linguine in a garlic pesto sauce.
I'll have the Warren Burger burger and the Pam Grier coffee.
Okay.
And I'll have the Hudson Brothers burrito.
You want sour cream with that?
No thanks. I'm trying to cut down.
I'll bring those up in a moment, and I'll bring you some bread.
And so I think comparing Margaret Cho's show to Fresh Off the Boat is actually really instructive in terms of charting where we are, because in Margaret Cho's show, it didn't last. It was panned. People watched it, but not really relative to those days. And also, most of the writers were not Asian American. Maybe there was one like script person who was Asian American. And Margaret Cho herself was very unhappy with the creative direction of how she had to portray herself as an Asian American or Korean American. Now, fast forward to Fresh Off the Boat, I would say a majority of the writers are either Asian American or immigrant in some way. And also, Eddie Huang, who's the creator and the voice, is really engaged. He doesn't get to have everything he wanted, but he was very engaged in the creation of this process and the creation of the show. So, I don't know. I just feel like man, this is like, for not having had something for so long. They did a really good job. A lot of the stars aligned for all of this to come together.
True. And hopefully it will pave the way for so much more better, programs like this that are on par or even better than what they're doing right now, right?
I'm speaking from an Asian perspective. I think a lot of things we don't really expect to see on screen. Like, cause when people told me when I first heard about the show, I was like, this is not a show that is immediately going to be on my TV list. Okay, it's going to be my must watch. I'm like, what? Really? What do they think they know about Asians? Because I didn't really know.
I know. I thought it was, oh no, they're just gonna fall to the stereotype again.
Yeah. But when I watched it, okay, at least from my perspective, I thought it was quite funny in a way that they are a bit subversive. It's not like, it's all American, but it's like all American Asian family. And I like the fact that They don't care about what white people think, which is totally opposite of what Asians are actually. Even Asians, we care a lot about white people, what they think of us.
Shh, don't tell anyone.
The colonial master mentality is still there.
No, it's also the Asian this Asian thing called the water face. I mean your face.
Yeah.
Can you save face?
Yeah.
How we look in front of. I mean, we don't like to hold Asians generally don't like to hold the mirror up to themselves.
No, they
That's
don't.
a fact. Okay.
Yeah. Every time there's something about us, we're like, no, this is not us.
No.
This is not.
No, we deny it.
Deny
we
it.
didn't
We didn't do it. We're not like that.
Nope, it wasn't us.
Wanna hear your beating heart tonight before the bleeding sun comes to life.
No one else is gonna die because of you.
You know, I'm just one person. I'm not worth it.
No, you are worth it. You are worth it to me. You have to promise me that you're not gonna leave, right? I want you to promise me that you won't go.
The canyon underneath the trees, behind the dark sky, you looked at me.
Great! This train is almost reaching the end of the city. Woohoo!
Yeah, man. Finally a way to get out of this godforsaken dump.
Hey, at least it was better than China.
Not really, Atsuko. I see a lot of tanks. Feels like Tiananmen 1992.
Well, this city can have its Tiananmen, but I'm sensing something's up. See all these other faction members assembling in a line to attention?
I don't know, but let's keep our heads down and buckle up for an unexpected situation.
Roger that, Asko.
Let's make our way out the last car.
Good idea. And while we're there, we can cap off this journey with a game.
Whoa!
I'm in the mood for a BuzzFeed type segment that Jenny Yang herself hosts on YouTube.
Yay! Woo!
Called Ask an
Asian!
Yeah.
Okay, ask an Asian. All Indians are IT experts and all Chinese work as waiters at Chinese restaurants. What do you girls have to say about that?
That's why I don't wear cheongsams. I don't want to be mistaken for a Chinese waitress.
Not in LA.
Yeah, totally not in LA. Did you get these questions from Singapore and Malaysia?
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's the opposite in America. I think Chinese people are IT people too, no?
Yeah.
but no.
But it's not as bad as the Indians though. I mean, like everywhere that you go, you will always see a bunch of Indians gathered at some Indian restaurant talking about, oh, did you get the new Microsoft Windows, version 25? Yes, it has got all these little codes. Oh yeah, oh my god, the code, it is so beautiful. Okay, so question number 2. Is it true that Asians will eat anything and everything that walks, breathes, and runs? Yeah, humans, watch out.
Yes. Next question.
Are all Asian women gentle, petite creatures?
Yes.
We talked about this.
Next question. Shut up! Next question.
Really? No?
Yeah, I mean, especially over 70 years old.
Yeah. They don't elbow you at all.
Okay, question number 4. All Asians are Kung Fu, Karate, or Taekwondo experts?
No.
I want to say no.
Like we said earlier.
No.
But
sorry, Asians.
But we're good dancers.
Yeah. Like some of the yoga studios I've been, I see more white people doing yoga than Asians. Like,
I know, yeah, that's another thing, right? Why are there more white people doing yoga now? Okay, question number 5. Are all Asian men chauvinists?
The politically correct answer is no. But I think in general though, I feel like a lot of men tend to just have issues with being men. So I don't think specifying about Asians is fair.
Hey, be a man. Do the right thing.
When the leaves are gone and the beating sun brings the world back strong. When the leaves are gone and the beating
All passengers, please alight. I repeat, all passengers, please alight.
Shit! What's happening?
It's the simulation. They're starting the simulation.
Right before schedule? Oh, this is so not good.
Watch out! The factions are on the move. They must have been injected with the serum.
Can we get out of here? That's a question.
Yes.
How?
Yeah, Raven, it's a couple of hundred people here all under simulation.
We are Oriental. All we have to do is blend in.
You've got Nobel written all over you.
Excuse me, girls. I know you're excited about blending in, but just what the hell am I supposed to do? I'm Indian. I'm divergent. I'm gonna stand out no matter what.
Aha! Now see how being generic looking pays off?
Shut up, noodle nerd.
Just get in there, will you persist? And get your act together.
Train's coming to a stop. We have to jump. Ready?
Ready, baby.
3, 2, 1.
Hey, no wait! It's not stopping! It's gonna hit into the wall! Oh God!
Oh, what an episode! Phew! Thanks for listening, folks. We're glad that you're alive and you came out of this divergent universe feeling more excited about the movie that's coming out soon. Yay! So, if you enjoyed this episode of Tomboy T-Rod, don't forget to subscribe to the show on iTunes and Stitcher and Libsyn and Podomatic and everywhere else, and give us feedback. We don't hear anything most of the episodes, so come on, people, talk to us. We've also got a great website with everything you want to read about being a tomboy in today's world. Check it out at www.tomboy-tarts.com.
And if you just want to connect with us outside of the show, we are also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Tumblr. Just type Tomboy Tarts.
And if you have any inquiries about advertising, collaborating, or appearing on this podcast as a guest or on our blog, drop us an email at tomboy.tarts@gmail.com.
We are everywhere, people! Everywhere!
Okay, so until the next 2 weeks when we will immerse you in another different universe, we just want to wish you ciao and adios, amigos!
Oh, gosh, what happened? Hey, we just crashed. Is anybody left on this train? Hello? Hello? Hey! I'm still here. I'm alive. Somebody, help me. Help this announcer. Is anybody out there? Hello? Hello?